Hi, today I am here with fellow photographer Rob Spring, and we are going to be talking about scheduling your wedding for photography. And this is the long form version of this video, so we're just gonna kind of chat.
Talk.
Talk.
Yeah, we should talk.
We should talk. Let's
about
talk.
scheduling. You should have introduced me as your twin brother, I thought. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, I'm Rob Spring.
And I'm Dave Bigler. You can have that back.
Oh, thank you.
I feel uncomfortable.
So one of the frustrations, what are some frustrations that you find in scheduling a bride and groom where you're doing photo?
Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times people, they will schedule their wedding day without talking to any of their wedding vendors. So we might have a couple come to us and say, well, we're doing the ceremony at this time, the reception's at this time, and our hair and makeup people are arriving at this time.
Set in stone.
Yeah, they've
Boom, boom,
already
boom, boom,
done
boom.
it. And they haven't accounted for things like travel time,
Yeah.
pictures that they request.
Yes.
Or occasionally they'll come up with a plan in which they want to photograph in certain locations, not thinking that it's going to take more than 5 minutes to get out of the limo to even get to the spot where they want to go because they're wearing a floor-length gown
Yeah,
and heels
yeah.
with hair and it's windy and they're carrying flowers and
All
I
these
think-
details.
Yeah. When they make too many plans without consulting any professionals.
In their mind, it's their day, so they're going to schedule it, and
Right.
and they haven't done a wedding before, so
Right.
You know,
I think that
makes
people, it's understandable. People get very nervous. They get excited. They get stressed out about their wedding day.
Yeah.
Because to them, it's the once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
It's the day. It's the one day. And not to downplay, but for a wedding professional that goes to a wedding every single week or
Yes.
sometimes multiple weddings,
twice a week. Yeah.
you
know what?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you just know that something's going to happen beyond your control to make you 10 minutes late.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know that there are going to be these things. You know that it's going to take longer than they think.
Yeah.
Um,
So would you say then that for the benefit of photography as well as for the benefit of just stress, to make sure that you work with your photographer for your scheduling?
Right. Yeah, work with your photographer, work with your hair and makeup people,
Yeah.
work with the venue, with
And your
whoever you
DJ.
have. Yeah,
Yeah.
your DJ. I do think that you need to, in a perfect world,
Yeah.
the bride calls and says, okay, we have the reception venue for 5 hours. We
What
can
should we
get
do?
married at this time or this time or this time.
Yeah. Rob,
What's-
what
right,
works
right.
best for Rob?
Well, yeah,
exactly.
because it's not. Well, yeah, absolutely, because
Yeah.
it is about me. And all of my clients, if you're watching this, it's all about me. So, no. But the truth is,
I've
that-
shot with you before, and that is not
and
true.
no, it's all about you. No, I'm kidding. It's all about us looking like each other.
Doppelganger.
The truth is that I do want them to call and ask, and I
Yeah.
want them to come to me and have no idea what to do, because I can say to them, what's important to you.
Yeah.
Do you want to see each other before? Do you want to photograph at a separate location? Do you want to do family pictures before?
Yeah.
Do you want to do family pictures? Do you want to do
Yeah.
to get the information, gather the information? And if I put together the timeline for them, I'm not just thinking
yeah.
in terms of what's best for me.
No.
What's best for me is that they're happy with the
Yes.
product.
Yes.
They're happy with the day. So every decision I make
It's for their
them
benefit. Yeah.
is for their benefit.
That makes sense.
So I want them to come to me, and if they make a plan and it's not good, and everything's set in stone and under contract and in writing,
Yeah. They're not
And
going to get the photos that they want.
they're not going to get the photos
gonna
they
limit
want.
you.
They're probably
Yeah.
going to be stressed out, rushed, hurried. They're looking at this timeline saying, we've got to do this, we've got to be here, we've got to be there. And they haven't thought it through.
I love when a couple's saying, well, if we hurry here and
Oh,
hurry
yeah,
here,
I know.
we can just make this and this.
It's
If
your
you are
wedding
saying
day.
that, if you are saying that, know that you will not make that.
Right.
Definitely plan lots of time. If something usually takes 45 minutes, plan an hour and a half.
Right.
You never know what might
Just
come
do.
up. Yeah, exactly.
In the worst case scenario, I think,
Yeah.
is if you use the hour and a half, or it actually gets done in 45 minutes, and then you have time to sit down.
And relax.
Relax, have a drink, grab a glass of champagne,
Yeah.
visit with your family and friends who've just flown in from California
Yeah.
to see your wedding day.
Yeah.
I think worst case scenario is we spend the amount of time that we've allotted, or we do it faster,
And you have free time.
and you have time.
Another benefit there is that, especially for outside, you never know what the weather's going to be like.
Right.
So if it's a winter wedding and you want snow, or if it's a summer wedding and it's raining,
Right.
then if you build in lots of time, then when a window opens up and it's beautiful outside, you can go outside and shoot.
Right.
Because you never know.
And you don't feel bad about taking that little window of opportunity and
Yeah.
popping outside and shooting, because
Absolutely.
they haven't been rushed and hurried and stressed all day long.
Yeah.
So when it does start to flurry outside, or the sun does come out finally,
Yeah.
you can go and grab them and say, "Hey, there's a gorgeous sunset happening right now,"
Yeah. Perfect.
and they're like, "Yeah, let's do it,"
Yeah.
because they've been relaxed, they've been happy all day, and that's
I gotta say that a wedding that feels very urgent, where everything is running a little bit late,
Yeah.
it causes stress for not only the bride and groom, but it also causes a tension among the vendors, because rather than say, well, what is the best that I can possibly do in
Right.
this moment? Well, in the interest of time, what do I have to do in this moment?
Right.
So planning
Yeah.
that extra time. Ideally, you have huge windows of time. This is a good opportunity to talk about first look. From a logistic standpoint, well, for those who don't know, the idea of a first look is that you arrange with your photographer a time for the bride and groom to see each other before the ceremony.
Right.
The benefits of that, well, we'll just talk at first about the logistics of that.
Right. So with the first look, I love doing it.
Yeah.
First of all.
Yeah.
I love doing it. Pretty much any photographer, videographer is going to love doing it. Now, if there's a big gap of time between the ceremony and reception, and you have all that time that you want to spend taking photos, then you probably don't need to do the first look. You've got all this time.
Yes.
So great.
So long as you build that time in there.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've built the time in, you have the time, then great.
Yeah.
But the thing with the first look, people say, well, we want to see each other, we want to do the photos beforehand. Now remember, you are doing the photos that you normally would do before the ceremony.
Yeah.
You're also doing the photos you would normally do after the ceremony, before the ceremony. So that really affects your timeline.
Yeah.
You're going to start your day a lot earlier.
Yep.
But you're going to get all your photos done. You're going to go get married, and when you walk down the end of the aisle, you're going to take a glass of champagne off a tray and go party.
Exactly.
Right? Instead of the photographer saying, "Okay, come over here. You got to sneak over here. We got to get the family pictures done." And people saying, "When do we get a drink? We need we're missing the hors d'oeuvres, or we're missing." I don't want that for you.
No.
So
No.
it really affects the timeline a lot, whether or not you do the first look. And now, the thing that bothers me about it
Okay.
is that we'll have clients say, or prospective clients, or even friends, family that talk about the first look.
Yeah.
They'll say, "You're just saying that because it makes your life easier."
It's not. It's less emotional for us. It's not the
Right.
real thing. You're just doing this
Right.
because it's
Right.
about you.
Right.
Yes.
That
Which is totally not true.
That drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not doing it because of me.
Yes.
Yes, it makes my life easier. Yes, it makes your life easier.
But the emotions.
Right. The emotion is so
It's so much better. It's
Every
so
time.
much better.
Every time. Every time.
The most stress. I don't know about you, but the most stress I ever see a bride in is the dress is on, and she hasn't seen the groom
Right.
yet. That gap of time between when she puts the dress on and when she actually gets to hang out with the groom.
Right.
I'm not talking about during the ceremony, because that's not really hangout
No,
time.
you don't talk.
No,
You
that
don't-
it's all about the bride and groom, and so the sooner that you put that bride
Right.
and groom together, all of a sudden, as
Say
soon
it.
as
The
that
magic happens.
Oh, the magic
You wanna
happens.
say it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The magic happens. So, regardless
true,
of
though.
timeline, even if you've built in a great window after the ceremony, all things being equal, I think that a first look. Sorry, I totally hit
Yeah.
my mic.
Yeah, nice.
I think that a first look is far more emotional for the couple because you don't have 200 guests staring at you.
Right.
It's just the two of you.
It's your own moment.
It's all about the two of you, which
a lot of times, maybe the groom or the bride will say, "Oh, I don't want him," or I, as the groom, don't want to be robbed of that moment of seeing my wife for the first time. You're not being robbed of it. We're heightening the situation.
The exclusivity of it.
We're going to put it someplace where there's going to be good lighting.
Yeah.
Where we know we're going to get good photos of it.
Yeah.
Where Aunt Ruth isn't going to stand up with her iPad and take a photo, so I can't see the groom's expression. It's going to be in context.
Yeah.
We're heightening that situation, and now the groom has his moment.
Yes.
And it's his moment.
Yes.
It's not 200 people's moment.
Yeah.
It's his moment. When you see a groom that hasn't seen his bride and she's walking down the aisle, the groom's looking down the aisle and he's thinking, oh my gosh, I'm getting married now. I can't believe we're doing this. She looks great. I'm so excited. I'm so nervous. I love her. I have to go to the bathroom. I'm going to pass out.
I've got 200 people looking at me.
Yeah. There's just
oh my gosh,
so much going through his head. Whereas,
which is why every time that you see the groom, more often than not, the reaction is,
I know, just stunned.
Until she smiles at him.
Right.
When she smiles at him, more often than not, right there, that breaks it.
Right.
And then he smiles, but it's still just like nerve-wracking.
It's just it's a nice thing because when you do the first look, then you have that moment of the guy is thinking, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see her.
Yeah.
That is really what the guys are thinking at that moment. They just want to see her.
Yeah.
And she just wants to see him.
Yeah.
And they see each other, and it's like, oh my, the guys, oh my gosh, wow, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, and she's happy, and she's fixing his tie.
Yeah, and they can actually communicate that.
There's a little tear, they talk, they hug, they kiss, they love each other. You're right, they can communicate that.
Yeah, whereas during the ceremony,
no, they don't.
It's like,
they stare at each other. It's like,
so you doing okay? You good? I mean, you can't even say, hi, I'm excited to marry you today. It's like, who gives this bride, and that's the extent of it. Okay, so we've talked about...
the first look affects the timeline a lot.
Bringing it
so
back to the
that's
timeline.
Something that you need to, whether you're going to do it or not going to do it, that really needs to be addressed before you start figuring out how much time you need.
So I would say an important note to make in the scheduling is to bring your photographer in when things are not yet set in stone.
Right.
You can have the ceremony time. I mean, a lot of times you have a church where they have a mass that's happening after, and it has to be that time. But most venues, let's say you purchase the venue for 5 hours, they'll be flexible on when that starts.
Could be 6 to 11, 7 to 12, 4
and
to
hair
9.
and makeup, for that matter, they're going to be flexible at the beginning of the day.
Right.
So most people schedule weddings, more than a year out. So you can plan all these things in there. So don't get set in stone in your schedule before you meet with your photographer.
Well, we've even had, where people will be adamant about not doing a first look and doing the ceremony at 5 o'clock in the winter.
Yes. And
want
outdoor
photography. Photos.
Yes.
And the sun set half an hour ago.
Yeah.
Well, we can go outside after dark and light something romantic. And
do some night shots.
Yeah, do some night shots, but it's not what they wanted. What they wanted was that beautiful sunset outdoor thing. But they weren't looking at the sunset times when they were signing contracts.
Yeah, that's your job.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, let's look at the sunset time and make sure that when you're getting married works for what you want.
So maybe a point would be realistic in the expectations. Know that if you do not want to do a first look, which is fine, that's okay, and you want to immediately go to your cocktail hour and you want photos outside, you need to plan accordingly. You need to know what's important, what is set in stone, and what's open.
If you want it all, you kind of can get it.
Yeah.
But you've got to
be flexible.
You've got to be flexible, and you've got to communicate that.
That
with
makes
your
sense.
photographer.
That makes sense.
You have to communicate to them what you want. Because people will say, oh yeah, just do the usual, just do the norm, just do...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's different, from you to me.
Yeah.
That's different. Some people expect 30 different family combinations of photos. Some people expect one.
Yeah. Some people are just like, oh, do we have to take family photos?
Right.
No.
No. Hey, did you ask your mom? I mean, if she says no, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, okay,
it's
fine,
your family.
great,
You got to deal with it.
But yeah, I mean, that is the norm is different
Yeah.
from client to client. So you do have to know your priorities and know what you want.
Yes.
And
Know what you
communicate
want. Okay, so I guess the overall points would be know your priorities.
Right.
Bring your photographer, your vendors in general, to advise you on your schedule.
Right.
Because, hey, we've been to a lot more weddings than you have.
Right.
Pretty much guaranteed.
Been to a lot of weddings.
Yeah, a lot of weddings. And regardless, build in a lot of extra time.
Always.
Always build in extra time.
Yeah, just build in the buffer.
Yeah.
Because something beyond your control
yes, it will happen.
will happen. Beyond our control,
Yep.
beyond the bride and groom's control, something will happen that'll take an extra 5 or 10 minutes here.
Yeah.
And
So the
you
more
still got to
recovery
get
time.
married. They're still going to kick you out at 11 o'clock. It's just the reception venue can't keep a staff of 30 or 40 people on, like just because grandma was 10 minutes late to the ceremony.
Yeah.
They're not going to give you that 10 minutes at the end of the day.
It's true.
So let's not come to that.
Yeah.
Let's add 10 minutes and then you're still on time. So
Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
this has been great, Rob.
thanks, Dave.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah. Awesome.
Awesome. Well, that's it for this week. Check back next week for some more great tips.